Hey guys, this is Pratik and you're watching Technocrat. In this video, we'll be seeing why brand has become such a critical component in the world of technology for companies. So what is a brand? Basically, a brand is what the customer thinks about the company or the product. It is the trust that the customer has built about that company. We say Google it. We say I'll talk to you over Skype. We say book a cab on Uber. We synonymously use searching for something on web with Google it. We synonymously use video calling with Skype. We synonymously use booking cabs for booking an Uber. So we can say that a brand is a psychological real estate that a company captures in the minds of the customers. So why are brands so important for people? It's because everyone wants to be a part of a group. Everyone wants to feel secure in their own group. Say suppose an iPhone user sends a message to some other person and he sees that that message has been sent through iMessage, he'll know that the other person is also using an iPhone. So all Apple users have few special dedicated apps for their needs. Like they can make video calls over FaceTime, they can share their files over AirDrop, they can upload their files in iCloud. So this has made an ecosystem for all Apple users. People always want to get associated with great brands. They always want to use an Apple iPhone, wear a pair of Nike shoes. Companies that are able to build a very good brand are always the most successful companies. And at the same time, in the world of technology, brands can sometimes be very misleading and put customers into traps. Now let me discuss about two kinds of people that are trapped in this brand game. The first is the fanboys and the second is the ones who think that technology and electronic gadgets are just for good social status. Now speaking about the fanboys, these are the ones who religiously back a few companies or products. They feel that few companies come up with good products no matter what. Now the most notorious fan wars are between the Apple and Android users. The Apple fanboys pity Android users for not using Android products. They even believe that once those Android guys start using some other Apple products, even they'll eventually start falling in love with it. Now tech reporters also try to capitalize on this debate by coming up with comparisons on the latest iPhones and the Google and Samsung smartphones. So why are these fanboys the way they are? It's because in the first they start appreciating the value of few features in the products of few companies, and then when there is a comparison between similar products by other companies, then they religiously start backing this company because they might have had a very good user experience with the company they love. They associate these companies with a lot of greatness and they make very strong opinions that they even quarrel or argue sometimes to win over the argument. But I personally feel that someone who is so much into technology instead has to advocate the entire users of technology rather than quarreling upon the features between the products that different companies come up with. I think they should also put aside their religious beliefs about few companies and just try to analyze why a different product by a different company is better than what they actually love, because they're already into technology, so they'll better understand that and they'll even be able to analyze why this thing is better than the other thing. Now speaking about the guys who feel that technology and electronic gadgets are just for good social status, these are the worst kind of people that I've ever met. They feel that updating to new electronic gadgets and keeping up with technology is very important for them to be more attractive and impressionable. They always want to show off their latest possessions and it somehow makes them feel that it increases their self-worth. They also go on complaining that technology gets updated so fast that they sometimes can't keep up with it. They complain that a new iPhone being released each year and they can't afford for it. Hold on, it's technology. Technically, any product gets obsolete in 18 months. According to a few surveys, people feel that a mobile phone is the first thing that someone notices about you. So there's a lot of focus on the phone that you're carrying. The more expensive the phone you're carrying indicates that the more rich you are or the higher social status you hold. Basically, there's a different perspective at looking at it. An expensive smartphone is like a bridge between the rich and the poor. If a person wants to buy a smartphone which is out of his budget, he'll still anyway buy it through some monthly installments or something. On the other hand, for a rich person to buy a smartphone, it just costs nothing to him. He can build expensive homes and buy luxurious cars with his wealth, but the poor can never anyhow make it to there. So an expensive smartphone acts like an emulator to the wealth. Now this is the reason why rich people want to personalize their gadgets. They want to have pricey headphones, They have very fancy leather cases which are almost as expensive as the mobile phones itself. Now let's come to the most interesting part. Let's see how a company establishes a brand. Basically, there are three parts in this process. It is marketing, advertising and branding. Now speaking about marketing is just positioning their products in the right way in the market. So they show people how their products can be used in their daily life to make it easier. They also show why people have to use these products. On the other hand, coming to advertising is just a channel in which you do marketing. It might be traditional ads on your television, print ads on your newspaper, or displaying them on the billboards, or the latest thing that is digital marketing and displaying these ads on YouTube or other social media platforms. Now coming to the final thing, that is the brand. As I've already said, it is just what the customer thinks about the company. Let's just think how actually advertising works. Advertising basically is good at selling fantasies to us. There is something called a Maslow's needs triangle, where it hierarchically shows how a human needs depends on different factors. In the Maslow's needs pyramid, there are basically 5 parts: the physiological needs, the safety needs, the social needs, the esteem needs, and the self-actualization needs. So any product that is being sold by any company can only solve the basic 2 needs, that is the physiological needs and safety needs. But coming to advertising, through their fantasies, they even promise to give you the above 3 needs also. Most of us might be knowing about the Apple's Think Different campaign. Steve Jobs once famously said that every famous personality who has ever existed on this world, and if they had used a computer, it would definitely be an Apple computer. Apple computers just make you feel very creative. Now I know that people who are fans of Apple will go and comment in the comment section that Apple computers are not called Apple computers, they are instead called Macs. Now this is the power of a brand. They have even captured your psychological real estate. So Apple is a tech company that used to sell computers back then, and now it even sells phones and watches. All you Apple fanboys, wait, I know that Apple phones are called iPhones and Apple watches are called Apple watches. So now let's get back to our Maslow's needs triangle. Remember the highest need, the self-actualization need. So making yourself feel very creative, you doing something new, or you realizing your true potential is the highest need. So Apple manages to show you pretty well in their advertising that you are achieving these highest needs when you use Apple products. I love cycling, so much so that I'd prefer a cycle over a Ducati Monster maybe. Most of you might be knowing about the Practically Magic campaign by Apple. You might have seen it on your televisions. This was for the iPhone 7 series lineup, where the iPhone had few features like waterproofing, dual camera system which had a new portrait mode feature, and also stereo speakers. So the Practically Magic campaign was something like stereo speakers on iPhone 7, Practically Magic, waterproof and water resistance on iPhone 7, Practically Magic, and portrait mode on iPhone 7, Practically Magic. Now coming to the water resistance feature in iPhone 7. Water resistance has been a feature that was in the smartphone industry from as long as 2011, and as far as I remember, Sony was the first smartphone manufacturer that made its smartphones water resistant. And I believe that there is no other company that could market this feature better than Apple. There is one particular ad in which a person takes his iPhone 7 and puts it on a rig on his bicycle handle, and the garage doors open and it starts raining very heavily and the sky starts lightning. I could relate myself to this short ad because I was a cycle enthusiast. And you need to understand that in this ad, Apple is not just marketing its new water resistance feature, but also it's trying to make you feel more adventurous. Apple has a similar marketing strategy and an advertising strategy for almost all its products. You remember the AirPods ad, which is in black and white? The person just walks over the walls and the roofs. This was the ad when I learnt about the Down song by Mariana Hill and I listened to it on loop. By now you might be thinking that everything is just revolving around Apple, its products and its marketing strategies. I ideally thought that I would just share my thoughts about the brand names played by the companies, but without discussing about Apple, it would just be incomplete. It's after all the largest and the most valuable brand in the world. It is anticipated to be the first $1 trillion brand in the world. A brand always has few negative implications also. What if a bad product is packaged in a very good way and it somehow manages to get a very good brand image? Then it would really be disastrous. This is something I always fear, and I want to educate the people about what to actually look in for a good brand. India is an emerging smartphone market and all the tech companies want to capitalize on this. Especially the Chinese manufacturers like Oppo and Vivo are spending a lot on their advertising budget. They only target their marketing strategies around how you can take good selfies with your phones. If you want to have a good understanding about selfie obsession, do watch the other video that I've made about it. Now, someone who has been unfamiliar with the world of technology and never bought a smartphone, say suppose he goes and buys a smartphone of Oppo or Vivo or some other company which is just targeting around the selfie mania. So what would that person think? He would only think that just a selfie is what you can use a smartphone for. But in reality, you can use it for many things. Now, once these companies which don't provide some good hardware or don't provide some good value for money stuff in their electronic products, then if they're able to establish their brand, then they'll also be able to make an aspirational value, and it would be really difficult for other companies which come up with real good products to establish their brands. So it's very important for us to not just get carried away by the brands, not just get carried away by the fantasies that are sold in the advertisements. It's also very important for us to understand the specifications of product before we start believing in the brand of a company. I hope you have learned something new from this video about how critical a brand is in the world of technology, and I also think that you have understood that how it can affect your purchase decisions. So all those fanboys, also do try to look into other products and their features, and don't just be religious about the company that you love. And for the ones who take technology and electronic gadgets for social status, please stop doing it. Always believe in science and make the best possible use of technology. I hope to see you in my other video where you get something new to learn. Until then, bye bye.